Hello, and welcome to the Irresistible Woman Summit. I am your love and dating coach and host for the summit, Deanna Cobden, and we are here to give you a fresh perspective on love, dating, and men. Where to meet that man, how to date with confidence while you value and honor yourself, and create amazing, authentic relationships. And today I have a really great guest. She is the dating advice girl, Erin Tillman. She is a dating empowerment coach, a certified NLP practitioner, author, speaker, radio show host. She's based in LA and for almost 10 years has been successfully helping singles navigate through the early stages of dating with her book, The Dating Guidebook, Tips for Living a Happy and Healthy Single Life. So important, right? So important to be happy and healthy while you're single. Without losing yourself in the process. Welcome, Erin.
Hi, Deanna. Thanks so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here to help your viewers.
Thank you for being here. So Dating Advice Girl, the book is amazing. I think to be happy, to be healthy, to be okay being single, not losing yourself in the process. What inspired you to write that book?
So to write my book, The Dating Guidebook, it basically was after several years of coaching. There were certain questions I was always asked by clients. Yeah. A lot of it was, how do I navigate this online dating and dating apps? How do I navigate that world? There were a lot of clients I had that just hate dating altogether. I'm sure some of the viewers here can relate. Yeah. And I'm like, I've always enjoyed dating. I've always enjoyed the process. And whether, a first date leads to a relationship or whether it just ends at the first date, I've always kind of had a positive view on dating. And so I'm like, well, what about my dating life? What do I do that could help some of my clients? And so basically that's how the book began. It's just kind of like, this is what works for me. This is what could work for you. I've gotten a lot of great feedback from clients about the book and how it's helped them. But in the book, it's everything from, navigating a dating dry spell to noticing red flags, both verbal, emotional, physical red flags on the first, second, third dates early on, so you can maybe dodge a bullet early on in the dating process, to how to approach somebody in public regardless of gender, online dating messaging strategies, all of the early stuff.
Everything.
Yeah.
That sounds great. I think it's just really important to always remember that your happiness is your own. You don't have to put it into the results you're getting while you're dating. You can actually be happy and dating at the same time, right?
Yes, and I recommend that, actually. There's so many single people who go into dating unhappy. Yeah. And so they wonder why they're attracting unhappy people. And listen, even if you're happy, you can attract someone who maybe isn't on the same page. But I feel like if you're happy, if you start at happy, you're going to see people who aren't happy or maybe aren't as empowered or aren't in a great place. You're going to see that more blare. It's going to be like a bright light in your face if you're happy up here and they're not. You're going to be like, oh no, I don't want that energy. Oh no, that's not a good match for me. So starting with happy with yourself first is number one for sure. Absolutely. You know?
So important. Okay, so we're talking lady boss dating today, and you are a lady boss yourself, and you know what it's all about.
I definitely do. I know this subject very well.
So the lady boss, she's really busy, she's successful. Like, how should she approach dating? Where should she start?
So, first of all, I think it's really important for all the entrepreneurial women out there. I think it's really important to decide if you're in a place where you have time to even date. Yeah. Because I think a lot of times we'll force it because, our friends say we should be out there, or family or society or whatever. And sometimes we might just be too busy to date, So that's number one. Do you have time? Because whoever you end up dating, person or people you end up dating, they do deserve some of your time, and your focused attention. Because that's the other thing that can happen. I've been guilty of it, and I've been on dates with people who are with me, but not really with me on the date. Like they're thinking about other stuff, or they're on their phone or that kind of stuff. So do you have time, and are you present enough to be dating as a lady boss? Okay. Yeah. That's number one, right? Yeah. In addition to that, it's really important. One of the things that I personally have dealt with and have I've had clients tell me about too is if you're dating somebody who maybe is kind of like, they say they're okay with the fact that you're a hustler and entrepreneurial and running your own business and doing all these things, but they really aren't. And so it's important to see those subtle signs from a potential love interest that they might not really be okay with your level of hustle, and that the fact that you're busy. For me, that could manifest like somebody being like, oh my gosh, you're always busy, or one day a week hanging out isn't enough for me, or they could say, I feel like you don't have time for me, those kind of things. And for me, I know, especially early on, just getting to know somebody, I know how much time I'm willing to commit. It might be a week, and if someone's not okay with that, that's a deal breaker for me. Because that's if you're telling someone what your boundaries are and what fits in your life, and they're saying, no, I'm not okay with what's happening in your life, then it's up to you to say, oh, well, I can't, it's important to meet in the middle. But if someone isn't hearing you at that basic level early on, that's important to be aware of, for sure.
Well, I think you need that balance, right? So like if you're at a kind of a critical building phase of your business, but yet you really do want to meet somebody, you actually have to set aside that space to do it. But of course, that person has to support you, right? But yeah, that might be like, especially when you're first getting to know somebody, you don't really need to see them more than once a week when you're just starting. So you can just say, this is when I'm free right now. But if it grows, and it grows and you want it to grow, like allow it to grow. But again, it goes to knowing yourself, I think, right? And just how much you can give. But if you're serious, like there's dating for fun and there's dating for relationships. So what are you dating for, right? Like knowing your purpose of even why you're dating.
Absolutely. But see, you made a really good point, Deanna. It's important to know self, because for me, once a week is enough. For some people, even busy people, they're like, no, I need to see someone like all weekend or a couple times a week, even if they're busy. So it's good to know what your boundaries are with that, I know what mine are. But it's just really important to know self. And again, if you're saying, here's my truth, here's what comes with dating Erin or Deanna or whoever it is, and someone is like, no, or makes you feel guilty or bad about that kind of stuff, that's really important to hear, especially as an entrepreneur. Because the thing that can happen with that is it can start to affect, it can manifest in different ways. Again, it could end up possibly doing a disservice to your business. If something is possibly hurting your self-esteem, or if someone's kind of getting in your head, so then your focus that you should be spending on your business ends up going to this person who has all this potential but is making you feel bad. That's taking time away from your priorities, because I feel like early on you are getting to know someone. I don't feel like someone needs all of your time early on. You're still figuring out who this person is. Are they a serial killer? Hopefully not. But all of those things you're still trying to figure out. And so again, it's about working with each other's lives in some way.
I like how you're talking about boundaries. I think that's really important because again, it goes to knowing yourself, but in business, like you can often be really good at setting your boundaries in your business life, but then when it comes to actually expressing how you want your love life to be, you're not really trained or prepared for that. So you have to be able to express that in a really healthy way, but from like your wants and needs, not trying to make somebody or like trying to fit what they want and be like always available for that.
Yeah, and I think that women do that a lot. I think that for so many reasons, in addition to, I'm this certain age, or there's pressure from family, or I want to have kids, or I want to get married, or all these things that make us feel pressured to kind of speed up the get to know you process. It's really important to take time in that, because again, I think that if we are focused on an end goal, whether it be, and it's good to know what you want, right? It's good to know if you're just interested in casual dating or marriage or all of these things. But if we're only focused on say, for example, marriage or kids, that end goal could possibly cloud our judgment when it comes to meeting someone, because we're just focused on the baby or the ring. And it's like, it could just be anyone we marry or have a kid with, because it's more about the end thing than who the actual person is we're trying to get to know. So I think it's important to, again, have some idea of where you want things to go in your dating and relationship life, but also be really, really aware that things like it. Like, for example, here in I live in Los Angeles, and in LA, I have a lot of clients who, after a couple of months, they're moving in with the person that they just met. And I'm like, no, like, there's no rush. You're literally giving up your space and in your security to, you're giving it to somebody else, you know, in the hopes of, you know, this person seems great, but really, how can you get to know someone fully in a couple months? So I really slowing the process down is really important, especially for business women, especially for entrepreneurial women who might have amassed a fortune in some way, whether that be, you know, intellectual property or money or a lot of things. It's really important to protect yourself. And you don't know what someone's intentions are, you know? There are a lot of men out there, and I don't want to be all like gloom and doom. There's amazing people out there. But also it's important, like, you know, you're someone of high value and you've created this amazing thing. And the stakes are higher because you have something to bring to the table. And let me be honest, again, maybe this is LA specific, but there are guys who are like, oh wow, okay, this, you know, this woman could end up being like kind of like a sugar mama figure for me. I could, you know, take the easy road. Like, she wants a companion and I don't want to be in the hustle, and she likes to hustle. So this is great, you know. Again, just slowing down the process, getting to know someone is super important for all of these reasons.
I think that's you made some really good points there. I think you have to value yourself as that prize, and like, is that person worth your getting energetically entangled with them for the next however many years?
Yes.
You know, like, a lot of these times, I mean, I do think it can happen where people meet right away, and, you know, but a lot of times it's like they meet, they move in, if they don't really know the person, like 2 years later, they're looking for another apartment, right?
Right. No, and you're absolutely right. Like, that's the thing. I mean, I know people, one of the biggest questions I get asked consistently over my almost 10 years doing this is I get this question, how do you feel about sleeping with someone on the first date? Okay or not okay? And, you know, my answer years ago used to be, well, if you want a long-term relationship, think twice about sleeping with someone like early on, but do it safely and consensually, blah, blah, blah. And really, I don't really know, just like you were saying, every situation is different and every individual is different and every pairing is different. There's no right or wrong way. I know people who met and slept together on the same day, that night of the date, and they got married and they've been married for 10, 15 years. So there's no right or wrong. I'm not the right or wrong police. But I do feel like there are certain things that might work better, and it's never a bad thing to get to know someone and take time to get to know someone. And also, if someone is pressuring you to fast track a relationship, I would be conscious of that, because why are they trying to fast track it, you know? And again, it's all about knowing self. Sometimes you just meet someone and you just know. You just know by looking at them. You're like, oh my God, this is the one. I can't believe it. Oh my God, like, it doesn't make logical sense, but I'm going to go with this. But I think, again, as I would say, most entrepreneurs I know are very prudent. They take time to make decisions. And so it's important to take time to make good decisions, especially a life decision, a life partner decision. It's important to take time with that.
Yeah. Okay, so one of the things I know that you talk about is, how are you showing up on the date? Like, are you showing up as the boss lady on the date, or are you showing up as a woman on the date? Like, can you talk a little bit more about how that happens and what they can do?
Yes, absolutely. So it's such a thing. And I personally, I have so many thoughts about this, because again, I am this entrepreneurial lady and I do take my career very seriously. And I do wear an alpha hat a lot of the time. You know, I get things done, and I know a lot of entrepreneurial women can relate to that. And not even entrepreneurial women. I think a lot of women in modern times are used to taking care of things, you know, especially like single moms, if, you know, that's in the conversation, or, you know, I think a lot of us have grown up with single parents. So we've seen possibly our single parent moms hustle, and we've gotten some of that energy. So what's important though, and I, you know, again, with specifically women clients who have businesses, a lot of them have complained, who are, let's say, let's just leave it there. A lot of them have complained about partners either complaining about them being the boss or wanting to have so much control, or they feel like they're not in, like, let's say heterosexual situations, they feel like they're not the woman on a date. They feel like the guy isn't stepping up. And so my question to that always is something to the effect of, well, are you letting him take the lead? Or are you making the decisions? Are you planning the dates? Are you, giving him time to make those decisions even early on, again, setting up a date or that kind of stuff? I had a recent client who, she was super excited. She met this new guy and she'd been single for a while, and she's like, oh, he's so great. We have a date like a few days later on the weekend, but he hasn't called me yet to tell me where we're going to meet. Should I just call him and tell him, like, I have a plan for the date and where to meet? And I'm like, no, you can't. Because the thing is that, like, because again, when she set up a session with me, one of the things she said was, I feel like these guys aren't taking initiative and setting up, making plans and stuff. And I said, listen, he might not be making a plan in your time frame. So, it was like, again, 3 or 4 days before the scheduled date. I'm like, give him a shot. Like, not everyone's going to work on your timetable of a week in advance. Here's like a dissertation of like what the date's going to look like. So, right. So give him a chance to make those plans. Now, like, if, the day of the date comes and there's still no, like, time or that kind of stuff, then reevaluate. Maybe that's not a good fit for you, but give him a shot. He might tell you where to meet or give suggestions on a date the day before. So then after this is what I said to her. I said, after you go out, then you could, like, gently suggest, hey, I have a really busy schedule. So the earlier you can give me information about a date, I'll have more time to hang out, or I'll have a better chance of being available on Saturday or whatever. So you can kind of gently tell someone later. Yeah. But it's really important that we don't, as women, if we want a guy to be that, take the more alpha role, so to speak, in a partnership, that we not become the alpha role. Because that's a lot of reasons. I mean, let's be honest. Like,
the Wi-Fi.
My male clients are so confused. They're like, I don't know what to do. I don't know where my place is, in terms of, some women want to take the control and some women don't. Like, I don't know. So it's up to us to basically say or demonstrate that we want this, or we would love you to make plans for us, men, or that kind of a thing.
Yeah, I think you're saying kind of interesting things, because we are the leader in the relationship, really. Yeah. We can't show up as the boss. It's a different type of leader. It's more of an inspired action leader, I think, over do it this way, right? So you can inspire that guy and just let him know, this is how I want to be treated, or this is what's available. And then that's a different role, but you're still leading the relationship the way you want it to be led, which is for him to step up. And I've had clients as well, like women have come to me, well, why are these guys never making plans or asking me out? It's like, well, because you're setting up the date. Like, how can he set up the date if you're not giving him that space to even set up the date? And it's like, oh, okay, like, I didn't realize I was doing it. But yet, like you said, on their time schedule, that was when the date should be set up.
Right.
So, they have to, I think that's a really good point, is to just, like, understand everybody's different, and then again, express your needs.
Yes.
How you want it to go, but in that kind of more inspired way over the boss way. I think that's great.
Right. And I mean, but also in addition to that, I think it's really important that, we realize that I think because we're entrepreneurs, or if we are entrepreneurs, a lot of times we're looking for perfection, and we're really trying to get things like, oh, I want to make sure that I do everything I can to make sure that everything goes well and that kind of thing. And the thing is, the business, yes, you might be working with other people and other businesses, but you have control over what you're doing. We're making lists, we're making plans, we're setting our schedules and all these things. But with dating, it really shouldn't be that fixed. It should be more relaxed. You're interacting with another human being who might be just as busy as you. And so I think it's really important that we respect that other person, our potential love interest, times, and just the fact that they have another life going on themselves, and that they just might do things differently than we do, and at some point you can compromise, and again, like, oh, okay, he's a little more spontaneous, and I'm definitely more structured, but you know, maybe I need a little more spontaneity in my life respectfully. And so maybe we can meet in the middle somewhere.
Yeah. Or maybe sometimes you're stuck in a rut because you are always in charge. And
Yes,
it's really
guilty,
hard
guilty.
to like get out of that and like go, oh, I need more fun in my life. And you kind of lose yourself a little bit to that job.
I definitely I'm guilty of that for sure. Like it's so funny because just really quickly, personally, a few months ago, I was like, God, I feel like I have no spontaneity in my life. And I took, cause I always, you know, I practice what I preach and I really do a lot of self-analysis. I'm always kind of checking my behavior. I actually get feedback from exes, which was weird. Kind of, I like to hear like what worked, what didn't work, that kind of stuff. And I was like, okay, so I'm looking for spontaneity, but every time spontaneity comes to me, I say no. And I was looking at that. I was looking at like dates. I'm currently single. And I was like, oh, this is why. This is why I'm not having spontaneity in my life, because I'm saying no to spontaneity when it comes, because I'm like, oh, no, that's not a plan. And it's like, okay, so be aware, Erin, be aware, right?
Yeah. I love that idea of feedback. So I've actually had done this with clients as well. I've had, you know, a few clients, like girls and guys, who they've gone on like 100 dates, not really had a second date from it. It's like, okay, well, we need to do a little, get a little information here. So do you ever do that with your clients? Like have people say, you know, like, hey, just doing a little bit of, just trying to figure out, you know, I'm doing some personal growth, and do you do that with clients as well?
Yeah, I mean, I personally do it. I've recommended that clients do it. Obviously, I can't force anyone to do it. And I will say a lot of people, I'd say the majority of clients I've had, you know, they aren't necessarily looking for a negative response from an ex. So a lot of them are like, I don't know if I'm on that page, but, you know, but thanks for the suggestion. But I think it's really helpful if someone could do that. You know, because I think that I personally am friends or friendly with most of the people I've dated. So for me, it's not that big of a deal for me to like call one of them up and say, or I've sent text messages to exes before and said, hey, just wondering, this might be weird, but just wondering like if there was anything that stood out to you about me that you would change, or something that was something that really annoyed you about me when we dated, or what was something really great about me when you. And it's really interesting to hear the feedback, because a lot of times the things I've heard personally, I either wasn't aware of, or I was aware of it, but I didn't think it was that big a deal. Yeah. And so it's really interesting to hear. And I mean, the other, just side note, guys are way more emotional than we think. And so like it could be something so small that was like, what? That wasn't a big deal. And it's like, it was like the world to them that I didn't like compliment them on their, you know, outfit on a date or whatever, you know, that kind of stuff. So it's really, I think feedback is so important, just in all areas of life, right? I mean, with feedback, you change, you get better or adjust and that kind of thing.
Yeah, you have to be neutral to it. I don't suggest it with all clients, but with the kind of a big extremes, it's like, well, there's only one common denominator here, right?
Right.
And so let's say in this one case I'm thinking of with this one client, is one of the guys said, well, I didn't even think you were into me.
Oh, yes.
And she's like, oh, but she had, before we had worked together, so this is like at the beginning of us working together, she had just read so many dating books and listened to so much information. She was like really paralyzed. She had to kind of just show up and be perfect.
Right.
And instead she was unable to like emotionally connect to him because she wasn't showing any of her personality. And she thought, oh, she doesn't even like me, but actually she really liked him. So it's just, it can be such a helpful thing to get that, but it is hard. It's hard to hear. It's not the easiest thing to hear, for sure.
Absolutely. But yeah, that's an interesting point you bring up. I've had that feedback, and I've had clients have that feedback as well, that they thought that the person they went out with wasn't sure that they were into them. Yeah. That happens a lot. I think that, especially with entrepreneurial women, what can happen sometimes is we're so used to possibly having a poker face. Sometimes if it's something business related, or again, we're just like hustle, handling things mode, that the emotion does come out of it, you know, or we're so focused on, you know, this being on paper a really great date that we forget that this is another human being we're trying to connect with emotionally. or have fun with. Like, what? Dates are supposed to be fun. That's crazy. But yes, you know, and so that's the thing too. I mean, with my clients, I really try to emphasize, you know, try to get rid of a checklist, because really you should be just having the goal in my mind, call me crazy, should just be to get to know someone new, have fun. And if it ends up being great, cool. And then you move on to like future dates and thinking about the future possibly with somebody. But other than that, I mean, I know, again, especially in Los Angeles, there's so much to do. There's something to do literally every night of the week here. And it's beautiful and it's sunny and all these things. It's like, there's no reason that the majority of single people I meet in LA should be hating it. And should be hating life and hating being single. It's like, are you kidding me? There's so many things. And everyone's interesting. Everyone has something interesting about them, whether or not if it's a love connection or not. Like, you're meeting someone and getting to know someone new. And it could end up being like a networking opportunity. Or it could end up being that person's great for a friend of yours. Or it could, I mean, there's so many things. So we need to get out of the box of, I went on a date with somebody, they're, you know, not the love of my life, dating. Like, we need to get rid of that.
Yeah. Well, it keeps you single because you don't get a chance to really get in and get to know anybody. You're just constantly just missing people, right? So it's so important to, like, you want to know you're going to be generally on the same page as that person, but they don't have to hit every checkbox the first date, because nobody's even themselves on the first date. You're just doing your best to connect, right?
Yes, definitely.
So great. Okay, so I know that you have a free gift. Can you share what that is with us?
Absolutely. So I am giving the first 3 chapters of my book, The Dating Guidebook, Tips for Living a Healthy and Happy Single Life Without Losing Yourself in the Dating Process. The first 3 chapters of my book for free for all of you watching this. So yay, I hope you enjoy it. And it's the basic foundation for the book. So there's some self-empowerment stuff in the first 3 chapters and kind of setting the stage for, you know, dating should be fun, and here's how to make it fun and enjoyable. You know? So that's my free gift.
I think that's great. So everybody, there's going to be a link in the email that you got to this video, and there's going to be a link under the video as well. So go there, download the book, let us know how you like it. And before you go, can you tell us, like, what do you feel like the qualities of an irresistible woman are?
Oh man. Well, I would say, specifically, wow, that's a lot. But I would honestly, being able to have fun. There's so much serious stuff happening in the world, but I think it's really important that, you know, we bring fun to the table. Because no one wants to be sad. No one wants to go on a date and be sad and depressed and like, it's got to bring fun and light, you know? So again, if someone's not in that place to have the fun, lightheartedness, maybe it's not a good time to date. But yes, an irresistible woman, fun, lighthearted, has a good presentation, whatever that means for you, whatever your style is. Having a good presentation, like, so that your date feels like you care about your appearance and cares to show them, you know, like, your best self. I think that anytime someone feels empowered, that is an amazing thing to bring to the table too, because that brings confidence. So, you know, I often suggest to clients, you know, before a date, do something that makes you feel excited or happy, or, you know, create something or do something that just makes you feel awesome. That's really important. So empowerment's huge. Those are the main things. I mean, I'd say intelligent.
Awesome. Those are all awesome. I love the idea too. I do that as well. Instead of just being like all this like nervous, negative energy before a date, like, release it. Do something that's going to make you feel like you're in a good space, because you're able to connect more, right?
Yes.
Amazing. Thank you so much for all your great tips. And for more information and like to find out how to be happy while you're dating, download that PDF and get the first 3 chapters. And then you can, I'm sure, get the rest of the book on Amazon if you need to, right?
Yes. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, paperback, and ebook. So,
okay,
yes.
Awesome. So everybody, let us know what your thoughts were on the interview today. Hit reply, send us a message, let us know if something stood out for you. And tomorrow in your inbox, you're going to find your link to your next interviews. Thank you for watching. See you then. Bye.